Okay, why has this quiz Cewelna? Lim for today, grandfather and grandmother. Today we're going to talk about Rimston to help our people through this sickness that's going around. This Rimston is going to help clean the air. That's what it's going to do. But anyways, way back when I was a child, I used to live with my grandfather and grandmother, and we had a wood stove. And on that wood stove, my grandfather and grandmother would put a big pot of water, and they'd put some Rimston in there. And I never understood why until I got older. And I asked my grandfather, he said, this medicine cleans the air, kills all the germs. That's why I put this Rimston in that pot. And so I'm going to talk about that today. This first one I'm going to talk about is called tree juniper. And this tree juniper, when you put it in a pot, you maybe take a small piece, maybe about like that, maybe 2 pieces like this, and you put it in a pot of water. And then you bring that water to a boil. And when it starts to boil, then you turn it down and then you let it simmer all day long. And every once in a while, go and breathe it. Put your nose right over it and breathe it in. And if it's too strong, then put a little less of this in there. But this tree juniper, that's what it does. It's clean the air, kills all the germs. And if you want, you can actually put it in a spray bottle too and spray your house with that. Spray some of the doorknobs and different things like that with this year, because that'll kill the germs. It was back in 1912 when the Spanish flu epidemic went through. The hospitals, they ran out of disinfectant, and our people shared this medicine with them. And so the hospital made this medicine, and that's what they used to clean the air in the hospital during the Spanish flu epidemic. So this is what our people have out here, all natural medicines. And it's important for us to learn how to use them and gather them. And so when you go out and gather this medicine, it's always good for the ladies to wear a skirt, maybe a handkerchief in their hair when they go gather it. And the men, they don't have to. They can just go out and gather this medicine. I would prefer the men, but the ladies, if they don't have a man to go and get it, then they can go and get this medicine also. But this medicine, I really like the smell of it. Sometimes people put too much of this in a pot, and it kind of overwhelms them when they smell it in the house. So I tell them, put a little bit less in there. And like I say, you can actually put this in a squirt bottle and squirt your doorknobs and different parts of the house with this also, because it's going to clean the house. So good medicine, this one here, Rimston. And the next one I'm going to talk about is Cedar. My grandfather also put Cedar. They mixed this with that ground juniper. And this Cedar, they put it in a pot also. And they also bring that to a boil. And then you turn it down, let it simmer all day long. Just one of the things that's important is to make sure you don't run out of water in that pot. Because if you run out of water in that pot, it's going to start a fire. So it's important to keep an eye on it all the time. Keep that pot full of water. That's important. And then we can get this cedar. Sometimes you have to go a long ways to get the cedar. And sometimes people live close to the cedar, and they don't have very far to go to get this. But today I was looking for juniper, and I had a hard time finding juniper. There's a lot of domesticated juniper, but what we want is the wild juniper. That's important. Sometimes it has berries on there. And the next one I'm going to talk about is the ground juniper. This ground juniper here, its needles are kind of pokey. And so when you gather this, you have to be careful. Sometimes it's good to wear gloves when you get this juniper. And then you just break off a piece of it, and that's what you use. You put that in a pot. And this ground juniper, when you put it in a pot and you cook it for a while, what it does, it turns the water just black, just pure black, but it smells good. My mentor, Herman Edward, when we use the sweat lodge, we use this in the barrel. And when we're finished sweating, he always tells the guys, you pour that medicine over your head. He calls this Indian perfume, and it smells really good. I like the smell of this when you're cooking it. And so that's what Herman calls this, Indian perfume. Good medicine. Cleans the air also. So this medicine is important. You can use all three if you want, or you can just use one, or just the tree juniper and the cedar, or all three of them. But try it, experiment with it to see which one you like the most, which one you like the smell the best of, and that's the one I would use. And then also this cedar, if you have a wood stove, you can break off the bough here, and you can put that right on the stove and let that smoke clean the house also. That's what the cedar can also do. We use this in the sweat lodge. We put some of this on the grandfather sometimes when we're in the sweat. So this is the medicines our people have used for a long, long time. And so every time I talk to people, I always remind them to use this medicine, put it on their stove. You don't have to have a wood stove to use this. You can use this on your electric range if you want. But like I say, always be careful. Always keep an eye on this all the time and never let it go dry. And that's how we use this medicine here. And when you go out like now, there's still snow high up in the mountains, and it's kind of hard to get to. But if you can find it in the lower areas, you can find this tree juniper and the ground juniper and the cedar. You can, as long as you can get close to it, especially if it's in a place where there's not too much dust. Because sometimes when you get it close to the road, there are logging trucks and cars go by and it gets dust on there. So if you can get it clean, it's even better. So that's how we do it. Like a long time ago, my great-grandfather, he told my dad, I want you to go high up in the mountains and get some ribs for my sweat lodge. And my dad told him, why? There's ribs right here close by. And my great-grandfather told my dad, no, there's too much negative energy around here. That's why I want you to go high up in the mountains and you get the ribs from my sweat lodge. And so we can do that. If you can get your Rimston where there's not so much traffic, that's good. And that's what it's important to use our Rimston. This will help clean the air, help keep you healthy. And when we keep our bodies healthy, and we keep from catching colds, that's what this medicine is for, to keep us from catching colds and sharing that cold with other people. That's what this medicine is for. So limnum.